Another week, another candle. We had a bad week for gold, but a great week for cryptocurrencies. The stock market is reaching all-time high. We're going to talk about all that after the intro. What's up, guys? This is JC, and welcome to the Wealth Engineering channel. The more you pay attention to, the more aware you become. And in this channel, we pay attention to stocks, crypto, real estate, and business to find the best place to grow your portfolio. If this is something that interests you, make sure you smash on the like button, subscribe, and click the bell. The first Sunday of every month, we look at the market and we do a monthly forecast. And every Sunday after that, we follow up on this prediction to see if we're on or off target. We had a lot of actions in the crypto. Gold is dumping, US dollar is dumping as well. So you came here for the truth. Let's just dive deep into it. All right, I'm going to keep this short. I want to start first with the US dollar. So we've been stuck in this continuation pattern for a while. And lately, we have broken this major support. Now, usually when we break a major support, we should expect to see another retest at the other support. But it's more likely that we see a retest on this line right here, because if you look at it for the last 5 years, the US dollar has been stuck in this channel, the two green lines right here, and it's been fluctuating around this price. And right now we're below the EMA 21 weekly. And the indicators as well are also on the downside. RSI is down, MACD is building momentum on a downward, and even the ADX is bearish as well. So, and it's very possible that we see the US dollar losing more of its value. And that's very good news for crypto, because usually when the US dollar goes down, cryptocurrencies, they pump, but it's usually the same thing for gold. But let's go on the stock market and see how it reacted. Last week, we were discussing about these two candles right here. And this week, it seems that we have a clean bullish candle, and we're starting to see price action above this orange line right here. If we keep going up, we might see a retest on this line as a support instead of a resistance. If this continues to happen, we might see more all-time high over the long period of time. And that means more pump on the stock market. However, a word of caution, usually in December, there can be a dump on the market. Some people, they want to collect their profit for the year, making sure that they collected this year's tax instead of next year's tax returns. So it's possible that we could see a dump. If we check the RSI, we can see that we're still in a bearish divergence. So despite this latest pump, eventually we're going to have to test this line right here on the weekly chart. However, on the daily chart, it's looking more promising, and we're starting to see some uptrend. However, it's not a confirmed trend yet, because although we're having a higher high, we're also having a lower low. So we need a higher low to confirm this uptrend and see if it's strong enough to break this 2-year pattern. The Nasdaq has following the same pattern. It's been pumping out as well. Last week, we talked about this major resistance for the Nasdaq and the price pressure on the triangle pushing to make a decision. So far, it seems that we have broken this resistance right here. I was expecting to see a lot more volumes, but to my surprise, I did not see this. There wasn't too much volume on the MACD, the RSI as well. So although we're having price action all-time high and also above this major resistance, we are going to need to see more volume pumping to the stock market to really validate this action, because otherwise this might be on a very short term and we might go way back down again to test this triangle. So we're going to keep an eye on it, but so far it's looking bullish for the Nasdaq, and the indicators are also pointing more bullish actions. So I want to talk quickly about crude oil. Last week, we were talking about the price action testing this major resistance here, and it was early. We made a call for early next week that we may see a break of this pattern. So this actually happened, and oil stocks have been also pumping at the same time. If you check at XOM, here's one I have on my watch list, and you can see the last couple weeks as well, it's been pumping. I find it interesting that we have a close above the EMA 21 weekly average on ExxonMobil. So this is usually the go-to oil stocks that I look into. And for option play, that could have been a cool move, especially when the pattern was broken here. And it's very possible that we see a retest of this resistance next week. And if we get a close above this red line here, it's going to be very bullish for this stock. But it's looking very bullish already because of this close above the EMA 21, and that's looking good. So the RSI is looking great on the weekly. The momentum on the MACD is really pumping. So this is going to be an actual very cool stock to be trading on a swing trade approach. Since the election is looking at the oil market is waking up, so we can keep an eye on it. On the other side, gold was not having so much of a good week. We were expecting a decision point for this triangle, and we have this decision this week. It has broken this pattern, and we're heading towards testing this line right here. This is a major support for gold. It's surprising to see because the US dollar took a hit, and usually people go on gold to recover and to preserve their purchase power, but it's not doing this anymore. So it's going to be interesting. But also concerns me is that this candle is right below the EMA 21 weekly average. So the weekly average is continuing to curve. If this continues, we might see a more bearish time for gold, and we're heading towards another decision point where gold has to make a decision about this price here. If we break this support, then we've been heading towards the next support that could be here. And I find it hard to believe that gold is doing this, but when the stock market is testing all-time high, people are getting more confident on the stock market and less confident on gold. So that could be very possible, but it's the same way that it can turn the other way around if there is more action on the stock market when there is a dip usually. So in December's, we can see a dip. It's very possible. Usually people, they like to close their position for the year and collect some profit, make sure that it fits on this tax and the yearly tax. There's that could be possible, and that could trigger a chain reaction where you can see a 15-20% correction on the stock market. It's very likely. But so far, gold is heading towards this area right here, and I hope it stays that way, because if not, then it would be very bad for gold. The indicators as well are not actually very encouraging for gold. You can see the RSI has been really staying in this triangle right here, heading downwards below 50. The MACD is building momentum on the downside. We even have a cross red line above. All right, so that's more bearish time ahead, and the strength is getting lower, so that's good news for gold. But if the red line stays long enough, we might pick up strength on the downside, and that's not good either. So we'll wait and see, but on a short term, it's not looking good for gold. This week on Bitcoin, we had a very interesting week. It's almost a very interesting weekly candle. It's basically a gravestone doji candle where the buy side is higher than the sell side. So that's also very interesting. And we, just like expected, we had tested this big resistance for Bitcoin right here and rejected it. That's very good that we rejected it. It's allowing the market to capture its breath before it starts pumping and challenging the zone again and break it again. Usually, just like I was saying before, we could see a dump on the stock market in December. And if that's the case, that could also be reflected on the Bitcoin market as well. And if that's the case, we may very well see a retest around the EMA 21, possibly on the 14K and 13.5K area. So it's very possible, but it's also possible that the price stays within these two challenge and just and until the momentum start picking up again and breaks this resistance. I'm expecting a break in this resistance in the next month or two maximum, but I think I would be lucky if we have 2 months before it breaks this. But it's looking likely that Bitcoin is forming a nice structure. On a weekly chart, the RSI is pointing downwards as it's catching up its breath. Momentum is still high. So you never know, we might have some erratic bullish time. And I'm interested in what's also very good market structure is the EMA 21 is serving as a support for the price, and it looks like the price just rebounds on the EMA 21 and pumped back up. The RSI already reached 60 and it's pumping back up to reach 65. The MACD is building up the momentum on the downside, but that momentum is starting to change direction already. So Bitcoin is already starting its next pump. And it's very interesting to see Bitcoin reacted this way because it's been quiet for a very long time and now it's really moving up. So if you wanted to invest in crypto and we're waiting, I think that the time is running out. What we can definitely can say at this point is that it is very unlikely that we see $10,000 price again, and it's very unlikely that we see a price close below $14,000 by year end. I think the price action is going to stay right here in this area right here, and it's gonna go back at it again. So this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Just like I was saying, I like to see this cup handle. We predicted this pattern and it's been staying for another week and this channel downward. So what's left to do is we might see another challenge on this line and pump back up. And if we break this pattern, then we're going for another jump on the Bitcoin area, maybe another challenge past 70%. That means altcoin is not going to move and Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. But until this happens, the altcoin market is going to pump because this channel means Bitcoin is losing its dominance, and that means altcoin are gaining dominance. And it seems that it's nicely setting up on this channel and it has more room to go. If we put the indicators, the RSI is below 50, that's bearish. The MACD is already building momentum, but it's starting to slow down. We also on the ADX, we also have the red line above, so that's bearish, but the strengths are pointing downward. So it's losing momentum. So then maybe that action is not going to last long. Maybe mid time we might see the dominance stay in this area around 62 and 61 for another couple days, but eventually we're going to start to pump back in. So it's going to be interesting to see how much it does that. And lastly, I want to talk about XRP. XRP had a great week. I made a video about that early this week. It went from 30 cents all the way to 80 cents. We were challenging this line and then we're rejecting it. What I find impressing with XRP is that the correction did not lasted long and it's already bouncing in this pattern right here, which is a decision pattern, and it's sort of looking like a bull flag. Eventually we might have to break this pattern and go test 80 cents again. And considering how the BTC dominance chart is heading downwards, we might see another pump in the next 3 days for XRP. Actually, tomorrow, actually, the next 24 hours, we might even see a challenge of this triangle. And if we break this triangle, we might be in for another ride. So stay tuned for that. If you're in XRP, the RSI is recovering nicely. It's staying still on the overbought area. And we're still bullish here on a daily. So anything is possible. We might see another pump, another test. If not, we might see a challenge around the 50 cents. But if we see this price, I would say that could be a very good entry price because 80 cents challenge is near. So that's all I had ready for you today. We'll talk on the next video.